cemetery, nothing new to report there. As Mike says, it's a dying business. Parks and Recs, or Parks and Rec. Places that still get used fairly recent or fairly often. Like seeing that. Community center.
How's the mowing?
The mowing's been getting done on a fairly regular schedule. It's about every 2 weeks.
On that note, did you have the lawn mowing person that's doing the fire hall do the west side of the fire hall also? He's only mowing one side of it.
Okay.
So I just noticed that today when I was working from there. So.
The community center.
I had a couple of phone calls regarding several issues with the water difficulties we've had outside. Not being able to get water leaking into the basement. Their concerns were that they can't get to water their plants. They're concerned about that because a lot of those plants that are in there, and I sympathize with them because it's a lot of their out-of-pocket expenses. They're paying for plants, so in the future I would like to perhaps consider a motion that we set aside a little bit more money for the plants. And I say this only because I took upon myself to drive around to different community centers within about a 50-mile range of here, from north to up by Brimson, all the way down to Sawyer County. And I wanted to see exactly what it is that grabbed you when you came into their community. And obviously it was the community center and the fire hall, and the combination of which. I think what we have here in Fredenberg is something that's very unique because it is right at a critical corner of travel. It's very obvious, and the nicer we can make it look, the better off, I think, for the image of anybody coming through, either a prospective home builder or a possible business. That's the first thing that's going to grab you. There were some concerns about the mowing schedule. This was earlier in June, and it was getting a little bit, the dandelions were going to seed. And they were concerned about the impact that would have on their gardens and the extra work involved. So they were kind of wondering if there, with the mowing, there was a possibility that there could be some weed control. So those were some of the things that they contacted me about. And then I talked to Greg about the proposal that Vessel Construction submitted to us regarding the problem that we have with the leakage on I believe that's the north side, right?
Yeah, north and west.
North and west.
The quote.
And they have a pretty extensive way of eliminating that problem, including the concrete work downstairs, inside. I liked what they proposed after talking to Greg and seeing the proposal. It's something I think that would remedy the issue there just based on their technology. They have what they call a spring flashing that would slide with the frost up and down the foundation, and then they would have another piece of flashing in front of that, so no water would get in. And if there is cause for some concern with the frost heaves, that flashing on the inside, that spring flashing would move up and down. And I believe in this area, regarding the frost around northern Minnesota is always a problem. And I think that would remedy that. So that's something that we need to consider. Otherwise, that's about it.
Somebody who's very familiar with that, I think you're right on about that. We really need to get that taken care of. Does the garden club ever get their silk proposals too? Do you know?
No, they haven't.
Because maybe we could do that for them too. Because that would save them a lot of travel time, or we come back here.
the silver hose.
Okay,
And they just didn't realize it. They thought someone had vandalized the hose.
okay.
Did you ever call the plumber on that water leak problem?
I've got a couple of calls in, I haven't gotten responses yet. So that's still in process.
Which problem?
We're gonna have them come out and take a look.
Stick it over there, faucet, leaking in the wall.
Let's move on here. Recycling center.
Another water issue. If I could have permission. I believe that you need an expert in plumbing to take a look at that tank downstairs and decide what is going to be the correct fix for that pressure tank. Connie Martha tried to bleed it down, they bled it down a couple times, some days it lasts a week, sometimes it lasts 2 weeks. They did it just before the pancake feed, so we didn't have to listen to it, and it lasted less than the length of the pancake feed. Well, when that's cycling as fast as it is, that's driving your electric bill up absolutely astronomically, because that pump is kicking in and out every 2 minutes. And so that's something that really needs to be addressed right away by somebody that can fix it.
I don't want to just don't install a bladder tank in there.
It may not be that simple for a building this size. I don't know what that would be, but I mean, I would.
If I might address that, we did include that as part of the things that we want the plumber to look at while he's here.
Okay.
Do it all in one. Because I hear that the valves are also frozen back there, so.
Right, yeah, because I was gonna try to help them isolate some of this stuff so we could drain the tank down. We can't even drain the tank down because we can't isolate the tank without shutting the complete water system down and draining the building. So, and Greg Humes, by the way, has done quite a bit of volunteer work on this water system at different times too, and on our tanks, so he might be an option for somebody to call on that.
Is he a plumber?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
He's actually in our newsletters.
Oh, okay.
How are we gonna take care of that? Is that,
It's already taken care of. Maintenance issues. Other meetings attended. Which, like I just stated before, so I went to, they're doing a great job on what was important. Moving on to old business, township attorney.
I had some discussions with Brian Brown. He is currently working for a rather high-priced, attached to a rather high-priced attorney law firm down in the cities, but he is still interested in being the township attorney. He is usually charging $100 to $120 an hour, depending upon the type of work, but he would be happy to negotiate down to $80 to the $90 range an hour for us here. He is still interested in what it is. That rate does include office expenses, so I did ask him about paralegals or consultants. He would never use one of those unless he would clear it with us here first, and then it would just be at whatever their cost is. There would be no markup for that. He has had extensive. He is kind of retiring from public life, so he's really just looking for a little extra here and there, and I told him I hope he wasn't planning on getting rich off of us, because that wasn't our intent. He said he understands that, so, but he is still interested, so I would recommend that we go ahead and authorize that to go ahead and do. The other lawyers I talked to, one was not interested at all. The other one has worked for surrounding townships. It could become a conflict of interest in the future if something were to happen that way, so.
wasn't